for you today. We are investigating not only tarot, which is what I was talking about, but because I've got Kirsty Bianco on, and she is the co-founder of BK Paranormal. I will say it right now. I just can't get those lines ready. I'll get Kirsty to tell you her company name. BKPB. No, I'm having
PKB Paranormal.
PKB Paranormal. It's that last P in paranormal that gets me. Thank you, Kirsty. As you can hear, she's ready. I'm ready to come on. So we're going to be talking about tarot and paranormal, which is really cool. So stick with us, and here's Kirsty. Kirsty, my first question to you is, how on earth, let's kick off with tarot. How did you get started in tarot? Or how do people get started in tarot?
I first became aware of it when I was about 14, 15, and I was living in the West Country, and some of my friends were into it, and so, you know, we would mess about and look at it, and at that age you think, oh, it's really scary and it's naughty and you shouldn't play around with it. And then I got back into it properly a few years back now, and I decided that, you know, this year I was going to take it and go pro with it. But it's yeah, I'd come across it in television, movies, and books, and so you end up with this misconception about it, and it's not until you start learning about it properly you realize it's, you know, nothing like how it is portrayed.
Yeah, it's interesting because my only experience of tarot was, I think it was that old James Bond movie. I think it was Live and Let Die, where he stacks the deck in his favour with the Bond girl, and she kept predicting death, and it never happened. But that's as far as I know. But you were telling me a little bit about the history of it just before we came on air. Can you tell us a little bit more about that history? Yeah,
so tarot has probably been around a lot longer than this, but the first traditional deck was actually created for the Visconti family in the 1600s, and it was designed as a playing card game, and the characters in the card represented people from the family, and it has been taken from there, and it's a type of divination tool. So it's like oracles, runes, how people used to throw the bones to see the future, tea leaf reading. So it's primarily, I think people have this misconception that it was created by the Romany Gypsy community. They certainly used it, and they probably had their own version of cards. But yeah, 1600, so a very long time ago.
Wow. So, and as you say, so it then became like a divining tool. And that's the thing. And I guess it then that's when it started getting these like occult.
Yes. Yeah.
I remember as a child, you know, when I was having seen the Bond movie, you know, then saying about tarot cards. I remember my parents were like, "Oh, you don't want to dabble in the occult," and so I didn't believe it. Because
there is a huge misconception that tarot and anything to do with the paranormal is only to be dealt with because you're into something nefarious and occult practice, and that's not quite true at all. I suppose it had a resurgence in the 1900s when the Victorians started to get very much into seances, etc., and wanting to contact spirits, and it was started to get used within those seances. But it's always been there in the background, but there's this deep misconception that it's you know, there's an evilness to it, or it's, you know, the work of Satan, and it really isn't. It, you know, they're cards, and the images help to prompt us and connect us to our intuition, which then allows us to pass the messages over to the sitter, that, or yourself if you're reading for yourself. And it's just another way of accessing this information, in the same way that a medium would use their intuition and their abilities to contact spirit.
Okay, so this is my next question for you: is what does tarot actually do for people?
Well, I use it primarily to help empower people to take control over their situations. So it can, you know, one of the most popular topics I'm asked about is around relationships and love. And quite often a question would be, will my partner and I get married? Or will I get back together with my ex-partner? And although you can do yes and no questions with tarot, the thing tarot is amazing at is giving you extra information. So you would discuss it with the client and say, you know, what is it that is causing you to ask this question? And then you can do a spread incorporating different aspects of what they're looking for to get them the information that they need, rather than just a yes or a no. Because I personally do not believe our futures are set in stone and everything is already laid out and written for us. So I believe we are in charge of our destinies and our futures, so we can impact on our future by making a different decision. So if, for example, you had someone saying, will I get back with my ex-partner? And the answer was no. Well, why is it a no? You would want to look into that further. And it could be that, you know, there's another person on the scene, or, you know, you're just not, you're not as in love with them as you think you are, for example. And it's amazing the information that can come through.
That's it. Yeah, it's really powerful stuff, because you're tapping into people's almost what's going on in their subconscious mind and bringing it to the foreground. Guys, if you're watching, please do type in the comments. If you've got any questions for Kirsty, any questions about tarot or the paranormal, whack them in the comments, and we'll ask them. We'll put you on the spot, Kirsty, but not in a bad way. So what are the best, if someone wants a reading? Oh, two things actually. One, I was really interested in the fact that you could read for yourself, and also I wanted to know, were there any good questions that, if you're having the reading, what like the best questions you should really be asking to help the reading?
So the best types of questions to ask are questions like what, how, and why, because you will be able to get far more information than just a yes or no. So you might be going for a promotion at work, and so you might ask, what can I expect if I apply for this promotion? And then you can design your spread around that. And with different spreads, the card positions will represent different things. A really nice 3-card spread would be situation, action, and potential outcome. So if you were to ask, oh, what can I expect if I apply for this job? Your first card would be the situation as it is right now. The second card will then give you some advice. What do you need to do and take action on to go towards the promotion? And then the potential outcome would let you know, is it likely to be a yes or is it likely to be a no? And then if you aren't happy with what that outcome is, you could then ask, what can I do to achieve my desired outcome? And then you would do a different spread. And that then gives you, it empowers you, because it gives you things to work on to get to the goal that you want to achieve, rather than just sort of asking, will I get the promotion, yes or no? It's almost like you're handing off the responsibility of what happens to you to fate. So yeah, open questions where you can, where, why, what and how are the best questions. And that goes for if you're reading for yourself as well. One of the biggest blocks when you're reading for yourself is that, and it's a human thing, you don't want to receive bad news. So when you're reading for yourself, you really need to be able to detach and become objective, because you might see a card that comes up and it has a negative aspect to it, and you think, well, I don't want to hear that, so I'm going to try and put a spin on it. And in that, if you do that, then you aren't getting a true reading for yourself. So it takes practice, but absolutely you can read for yourself. Self-development questions. There are lots of spreads that are aligned with astrological aspects, so like full moon, new moon, solstice, equinox, and you know, it's about self-development as well as guidance, really.
Yeah. No, it's really fascinating, because I didn't realise that you could have multiple questions. So you do another spread so it's almost like peeling back those layers, isn't it, to get to something really valuable.
And one of the things that it can really help with is to access the information that's in our subconscious. So we might be behaving and repeating a pattern, and it's like, why do I keep repeating this pattern? And it helps to bring that subconscious information into the conscious, so that then you can work with it to try and overcome the problem that's stopping you from doing something. It could be that you've got self-limiting beliefs and you have convinced yourself you're not good enough, or, oh, that just won't work, it's silly. And actually that is what's preventing your self-limiting beliefs that you've learned over the years. So you need to release them.
That's brilliant. And that you can interpret that from the cards when you're reading.
Yes, yeah. I mean, there are 4 suits within a tarot deck, a traditional 78 card tarot deck. So you've got the cups, which are representative of feelings and emotions. Then you've got swords, which are representative of thought and logic and words, and they are the air element. So sorry, cups are the water element. Then you've got the wands, which is about passion and motivation, and that is a fire element. And then you've got the pentacles, which are they're related to earth, which is about our material realm, career and finances. So you've got cards ace to 10, and then you've got the page, the queen, the king, and the knight. And then on top of these court cards and minor arcana, you've got the majors, and we've got 22 majors, and these are very important life lessons and events. They're really significant, and each card is basically part of a journey that you go on to get to enlightenment. So if you're doing a reading, it depends on the cards that come up and where they sit and how they combine with each other will give you the information that you're looking for from the question.
Wow, that's amazing. I didn't realize there was so much to it. But another question though, and you touched on it when you're saying about reading for yourself, and no one wants bad news. So when you're doing a reading, can you see some bad? I hope I'm wrong, but I know there is the death card. I'm assuming that doesn't.
Card is not what people think. There are no such thing as good or bad cards. It can indicate circumstances which may not be good, but it's not that the card themselves, itself is bad. So death means change and transformation. So it could be, personal transformation. You've discovered a spirituality. It could be that you're made redundant, suddenly made redundant, and you find that you're having to find a new career. The devil is another one that everyone is scared of, and that does not mean Satan. The devil represents taking too much pleasure in the good things in life. So it could be abusing alcohol, it could be abusing drugs, could be, sex addiction, for example. So it's an overuse of those things that are supposed to be treats, but then become a crutch. There's no good or bad card. But as an example, I did a reading for myself earlier in the year, and it was just asking generally, what can I expect in the next few months? And I had the Hanged Man come up, and he represents the need to take a pause, and he's a major arcana card, and he, it's an important life lesson. And this reading was in February, and I was thinking, I really don't understand this, because, I'm not, in the situation as it was at the time, it made no sense. And then in March we were locked down, and I was furloughed from my normal job, and there it goes, the pause that was sin in the cards is then forced on you, and you think, oh. So I always keep notes, because then I can go back and refer. Yeah,
now that makes sense, because another question, I know I feel really mean because I sent you a load of questions. I'm actually now going totally off piste on them.
That's fine.
But as you're expanding my knowledge, I'm thinking, okay. So it's good to keep notes. So would you suggest that this could be a good, like a ongoing thing to have your cards read every so often? It's like a...
Yeah, I mean, some people may do it once a year. Some people may do it once every 6 months. Some people might have one and then wait 10 years and have another one. Whereas I like to do it regularly, at least a few times a week. I will read for myself, because I use it for my own self-development and my own guidance. You know, we all have these difficult situations, and there's also this darker part of ourself which is described as shadow self. It's the not so great parts of our personality, for example, and you know, we naturally want to stay away from those things, but they're a part of who we are, so they're just as important to work on as the good parts about ourselves, because you know, if we can overcome those negative parts, it will improve everything. So I personally I use it very regularly, but you don't have to. But I know some people that go, like, they've got it religiously booked in for like once every 6 months.
Oh wow, that's really cool. And so, and when you got into the tarot initially, so did you, are there tarot qualification type things to do?
There are actually. You can. There are lots of people out there, lots of providers and lots of associations, and they have courses, information. So there's no like national degree or like GCSE version. No. But for example, I did my Biddy Tarot certification this year. She, you know, Bridget Esselmont's very well respected. She's got a really in-depth, detailed course. And even if you're already knowledgeable about it, you will still learn something new. And at the end, you can choose to be certified and put your application in. And I was given my certification. But it's not something that you have to have that. I did it more to put my clients at ease, so that they know that, you know, I'm serious about this. I put time and effort and love and all my emotions into it. But just because someone else might not have that, it doesn't mean that they're any less committed to it. So you can certainly study it. And like I said, lots of little associations as well. So you've got the Tarot Association of the British Isles. You've got the National Tarot Readers Association. They all have, you know, fact sheets and information that you can go on and look at to teach yourself about tarot. So you can do it informally as well.
Oh, that's nice. Actually, you saying giving your clients peace of mind as well. Funny enough, I did the same sort of thing with Google, being certified with Google Ads, because I was running Google ad campaigns and running very well. But because I didn't have a certification, I thought, well, you should just get some, just sign a little bit of paper saying, yeah, Google loved me as well. So even though you had all the results you could show,
that you're serious, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's just another level of trust. And that's the thing, when people trust you, then they'll be much more open to taking on board what you're saying, which is really cool. We're going to come back to tarot, but I also want to talk to you about the paranormal.
Yes.
So this was a surprise, and it was like when you just told me just before we came on air, I thought it was brilliant. Because is it Derek Conda?
Oh, Derek Acora, yes.
Acora, that was it. I've never seen any of these programs, but you know, it's like when they're in your psyche because you know about them. And so, so tell us what you do about on the paranormal scale. That's fascinating.
So my husband and I are PKBParanormal, so it's Paul and Kirsty Bianco Paranormal, basically. And we started going out with groups and paying to be guests years ago now. And you know, we got more and more into it, and we started buying our own equipment, and then we started going to places on our own. We'd deliberately book a haunted hotel room and do our own investigations. And Ghost Hunt Events is a group that we used to pay to be guests with a lot. We loved them. And last year we were asked if we wanted to join the team, so we have. So we take part in public events. We'll have we split everybody up into groups, and we do different things within the group. So might be the Ouija board, the tech sessions, seance, human pendulum, and then we'll swap the groups throughout the night, so everyone has a chance to do something. And then at the end of the night, there's a bit of free time, and people can go back to the area that they were really, really interested in. And our goal is to get as much evidence as we possibly can. You know, and also to explain to people, it's not just about, oh, you know, on that video there was something goes across the screen, that's got to be a ghost. And you look at it, and the more you analyze videos, you go, that's dust, that's a bug. Oh, that's something. So,
yeah, video has no way of mucking you about. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to do more of the tech sessions. I love the tech side of it. But my husband does a lot of the table tipping in the Ouija board, because it's just amazing how it works. We know there's some science behind it, but we don't know all of the science behind it. And the only way we're going to get there is if we keep going, keep investigating. It's quite a large community actually in the UK of paranormal investigators.
It is. But did it not scare you to begin with?
Bizarrely, I'm scared of the dark, but I am happy to go running around in the dark looking for ghosts. I know it makes no sense.
I think that's massively brave.
So, but yeah, I've been known to go running around chasing sounds on my own, and then realizing I'm on my own in the dark and I don't know what I'm looking for.
My one and only my one and only Ouija board experience was that we were teenage kids in a friend's shed, and there was about 5 of us, and it was dark, and nothing was happening. But his next door neighbours had seen us go in the shed.
Scared of the Ouija board in the same way they're scared of tarot cards, because they assume that it's, the work of Satan, and actually it's all about your intentions. If you are using it in and you bring protection to yourself before you use it, and you're polite and you're not provoking, you can have really interesting conversations. One of our weirdest sessions, we were at the True Crime Museum, and a friend Joe was with us. So it was my husband and this lady Joe, and we seemed to come in contact with a really nasty, negative person, very aggressive, and identified themselves as Richard. After the event, about 3 days later, Joe got in touch with me to explain that the serial killer Richard Ramirez, his letters had been sent to the True Crime Museum to go on display for a little while, and they were in the safe in the office ready to be posted back to the US. We didn't know about it because obviously the exhibit wasn't up. And here we are talking to this serial killer on the Ouija board. It was incredible.
Oh my God. That's
But you also get love spirits as well. Like I was at Newfort Tavern in Gravesend, and I felt this going down my arm. That was very strange. And you hear things audibly, so direct voice phenomena, EVPs with a simple dictaphone, or even on your voice memos on your phone. So they speak at frequencies that we can't hear with our own ears. But when you've recorded it and you play it back, you can hear them talking to you. So I use some software to run through those, because sometimes it's so quiet you just need to amplify it. And I've got videos on YouTube of our EVPs that we've got as well.
Oh man! I have to go and check those out straight after. And is your YouTube channel just? Yeah,
it's PKB Paranormal. So PKB Paranormal, no spaces. And then Capricorn Tarot has a YouTube channel as well, and I've just got some sort of videos on there about tarot, some tarot spreads, and the more I go along, the more I'll be adding to those as well.
Yeah. Oh no, brilliant. Definitely going to have a look at those. The other thing I wanted to ask you, because I've never heard of this before, you mentioned it, a human pendulum.
Yes. So it's a bit like a seance. So in a way, I have a pendulum here as it goes. So a pendulum, you would ask it to move in a certain way for yes and no's. So with a human pendulum, you stand in a circle and you have somebody in the middle, and you basically are asking spirit to push that person in the middle one way or the other to show what your yes answer would be and what your no answer would be. So the rest of the group are in a seance position in a circle around, and that helps to provide a level of protection to the person in the middle. And then you would go around the circle. Every individual could ask questions then, and the idea is to get spirit to move the person forward or back or side to side for their yes or no answers.
Oh wow! Now you've explained like that, it makes total sense. I just could not picture that whatsoever. So is this so on the paranormal tours is the wrong word, isn't it? But the paranormal things that you're doing, are you being able to do those now after lockdown, or are you having to wait?
Not yet. There was a couple of events that were booked for the beginning of July, but the venues cancelled those, unfortunately. I think there's still a lot of worry about getting things back to normal and normal life resuming. Hunt Events has put in a really good COVID-19 program, you know, so we have got protocols in place to keep people safe and to keep us safe, but you know, the venues need to get open, and also individuals who may want to book to come might also be scared still about you know, being around other people. So I'm hoping it gets back to normal soon, because we're really missing it.
I can imagine. I'm just thinking, it's quite funny that people will be, you know, scared of the COVID thing, more scared of the COVID than they would have been of the paranormal. I know which way around.
Probably because I don't want to meet it yet. That's why.
It's really great because, and that's the thing, as you were saying just before we came on air, it's actually, you know, you're educating people, and the people that, you know, it's good to have some people that are doubters, and then they can see.
Yes, absolutely. And the other thing as well is we're all about debunking. So we had a really interesting one. We were at Fort Hammerhurst in Chatham, and in the old radio room you've got a door at each end, and there are some clipboards, and the clipboard started to move like this, and everyone was, oh, someone's moving the spirit boards. And it wasn't. What it was air pressure. So somebody had opened one door at one end of the tunnel, someone had opened another door at the other end of the tunnel, and it created an air current. And where people were walking in, it shifted the air in the room enough to get the clipboards to move. So I ended up running up and down in front of the clipboards to show people, look, you know, this is us, this is not a spirit. You know, and, I mean, the other thing as well is when you hear bangs and things like that, you know, that could be the building settling, or animals. When you hear a fox scream, it genuinely sounds like a child screaming. So you have to sort of think, if you're outside, you know, could that be a bird or an animal? So yeah, debunking's just as fun, actually.
I can imagine, because actually that would be the thing that would appeal to me, the debunking bit. And that, but it's like, you know, when you're alone, even if you're alone in your own house and you're just, you know, it's quiet and it's dark and you're just listening, the house makes noise. And that's just the fact, you know, the pipes expand, contract, the bricks breathe, and so you can put yourself into all sorts of imagination.
You can get in a right state and think everything is paranormal. I mean, one thing that can really cause people to think that a place is haunted is high EMF fields. So electromagnetic fields can mess around with our brains, and if there's faulty wiring in an alarm clock or a lamp, or just like in your wiring within the house, if it starts giving off really high electromagnetic readings, it can cause you to feel sick, it can make you feel like you're being watched, it can cause hallucinations. So, you know, when you're investigating, there is a lot to think about, and that's what we, you know, is about, educating people about these things so that they don't immediately panic and think, oh god, it's paranormal. And the other thing as well is not everything is bad, you know. Just because something's haunted, it doesn't mean it's going to come and try and kill you in your sleep. That's what horror films do.
Exactly. Yeah, that plants those seeds. I'm a great believer in the whole point is, you know, we are just energy at the end of the day. The science is, you know, we're all just atoms and carbons. Energy, and energy doesn't die. So
yeah, Albert Einstein said that.
Yeah, energy is still there. So I totally.
Where does it
go? To having experiences like that, because where would the energy go? You know, that's the thing. But I still wouldn't rush to meet. I still wouldn't rush to meet a ghost. It's all those years of Scooby-Doo as a child. If I just come back onto the tarot though, finally, I absolutely love being talking to you here, Kirsty. But So for the tarot element, so where's the best if people want a reading in the old COVID times at the moment? What's the best way that they can contact you, and what would it charge for? What would it cost for a basic reading or bigger reading? Can we do it online?
Yes, absolutely. All my readings are either remote via video call or telephone or via email. I don't have a business premises, so it's just not sort of right for people to come to me anyway. But obviously with social distancing, you know, to be able to do it by video call, for example, I had one earlier, I did it via WhatsApp call, or I go Skype, or just even on the telephone. So it doesn't matter where you are, you've got access to this. I also do email readings, so you can book your reading on the website and then send me over your question, and I'll then write it up, take photographs of the spread and email it back to you, so you can see the cards as well as the write up of what the cards are saying. So for a 40-minute video call or telephone call, it would be £25. For an hour, it would be £35. If it was a 1-question email reading, that's £10. 2-question email reading is £20, and a 3-question email reading is £30. I can also, hopefully, when everything gets back to normal, I can also attend parties. So sometimes people want something slightly unusual at their parties. So depending on the location and the numbers, I could attend the parties and provide some entertainment, but entertainment with value, shall we say. And in January, the Kent Wellness Festival is on at the end of January next year, and I will be having a table there, so you could come along and have a reading with me there and then.
Oh, brilliant. What I'll do, Kirsty, I'll put all your contact details in the links below the videos. This live stream goes on the Facebook page and also on the YouTube channel, so we'll put them on both. Kirsty, thank you very much, so much for your time today.
Oh, you're welcome.
It's been great. It's so lovely to learn new things. It's really cool. So I'll speak to you in just a minute. But guys, thank you for tuning in. It's been great seeing people popping on the likes. As I say, if you're watching it on the replay, if you've got any questions, please do #replay. Give us your questions, and also, of course, if you know someone that's interested in tarot or the paranormal, and they think that Kirsty's interview will be of interest, please do share, because it's all good fun. And who knew you can get all this online still, so you can still get your readings to terrific value, I think. So anyway, guys, lovely to see you again today. We've got, I think next week with Super, I think we've got 2 shows a day next week. So tune in, give us some love.